Welcome back to Leading Our Own Way. It's Monday. It's the second week with Josh Robinson. Welcome to episode 6. I can't believe it. As you can tell, I've had to go and do these new intros. I look a mess, and I filmed this ages ago. I've not done my hair, but I thought I'd make it better by showing you guys my hoodie, my Leading Our Own Way hoodie. Very special. I've even got that printed on the side. How cool is that? That logo on the back as well. I won't stand up and show you. My hair is a mess though, but had to put that in to show you guys. Anyway, not for sale. I am sorry, not yet. I'm hoping in the future when I get a bit of bulk money, I can start to sell this stuff. Anyway, one of my guests coming up is sailing, rowing across the Atlantic. They're going to share it and they're going to wear it on their boat. So it's going to be all over the media, I promise you. Anyway, enough of that. We're back with Josh for the second week. We've got another week with Josh here on YouTube. Part 3 and 4 will be coming on Spotify and Apple this week also. But it's a long 2 weeks. Amazing. I can't believe it. I love how I've had to come up with this idea of spreading it out on YouTube. And today we're going to be talking... Well, first of all, if you did miss last week, please go back and watch part 1 to 5 with Josh last week. If YouTube is your dime, do it. But today we're going to be talking about his reflections of the family dynamics and the role his grandparents had in his life during some of his time and some of the topics that we've been covered, and also the difficult time of the aftermath of domestic violence that we've highlighted in some of the episodes as well. Come back once you finish. Make sure you come back for tomorrow for episode 7. Enjoy. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and this is the podcast that unveils captivating narratives of resilience and personal triumph. This podcast is for anyone seeking inspiration and insights on overcoming life's challenges. Follow and subscribe, and then we can lead together forever. You mentioned there was abuse in the family. Was that the reason for the split up?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I don't really... I know what I know. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense. Like, I only know what I've seen or what I've talked to over the years of, like, why. Because I think for a long time, my mum and dad were very just, like, if you asked about that kind of stuff, even as we got older, they were just kind of like, we just fell out of love. And that was kind of like, they were very dismissive of it. But I had seen my dad physically abuse my mum before. And stuff like that. And that's not great to see as a child.
No.
So, yeah, like, I'd seen that, so I know that it did happen, but I don't know the extent of all that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be, like, dismissive of it. I honestly don't know. I only know what I know, and, even if you are getting stories from them, how do you know what's the truth and what's not the truth? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely, of course. Was there any major events that you can remember from your childhood with your dad being angry or moments like, because I remember my mum went through something, and I remember walking in and my mum was on the floor and the guy was over her just belting her, and I remember I was like 3 or 4, but it's weird how you don't have memories of when you're so young, but I remember that, and is the vision clear? No, because it's nearly 40 years later, but I do remember the figure. I do remember her facial expressions. Do I remember the blood? No. My mum tells me that there was blood, but I remember her being on the floor, and they would send me out, and I remember being chucked up the stairs myself. I don't remember being hit myself, but I do remember being thrown up the stairs once. But so that's one of my events. Do you remember any significant events that have kind of impacted your head?
I remember something happening to me, and it's so weird because it probably doesn't even sound that bad, but it was just more so like an emotional thing. I don't know how old I was. I was in my teenage years. My dad had been drinking, big shock. And I think it was like a school night, and I was trying to sleep, and, you're still a mouthy teenager. I'm not saying I was perfect in these situations, but I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm trying to sleep. And again, my dad would just flip, like, you shut the fuck up. And then just like shouting. And my dad's not a very, he's not a very tall person or anything like that, but he was quite big. So like physically I'm 15. I'm not going to be able to fight back even if he did try to fight me. But he got me in like our house was like open plan. So like it was like the kitchen and that were all together with like everything. So like I remember just like walking back and I heard him coming around and he like cornered me in the kitchen and he spat on me. And I was just like,
What? It's not
ugh.
that bad. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he spat on me. He didn't
That's
hit me or
bad.
anything like that, but he spat on me. And for some reason, that has always. I just feel like that's so disrespectful. Of like, that's like the grossest, most vile thing you can do to a person. I just really think it's disgusting. And I just remember that and just being so. It was probably one of the first times that, like, he did anything like that. But, like, the first times that instead of feeling complete, like, shame or guilt, I felt anger. And that kind of, like, honestly scared me a little bit because I'd never really been that kind of person. But I felt like I felt that if I was bigger than I was at that age, I probably would have hit him. And I've
Yeah.
never been a person I've never been a fight. I've still to this day never been in a fight in my life. I've never swung a punch. I've never done that. I'm just not that person. I can get pretty mouthy, but I'm not that person. I do not fight. But I think that's kind of something that sticks out in my brain. And I think what changed a lot for me and my dad was when I did turn like 16, 17, and I did get physically a little bit stronger. That kind of stuff simmered a little bit because I think he felt, well, Josh is actually able to stand up for himself now. Again, not that that ever happened, but I just think that's how I always kind of envisioned it. And then once I turned 18, as soon as I could, I was out of there. I was like, goodbye. I'm going to get my own place.
Yeah. Your granddad sounds like he was quite significant. Well, role model. Was he a role model to you? Not being the dad that you probably needed, but your granddad was there. Did he replace that role, do you think?
He was, in all sense of the word, my father, especially in those years. My grandpa was always just kind of around. I don't really remember a time where he wasn't kind of like just somewhere nearby. I don't know why. But I lived with him in those years, and he was getting older and stuff like that in those years. But he was even while all this stuff was going on, my pa still made sure that I was covered. You know what I mean? Like, he still made sure that I was able to have the things that I did and made sure that I was, just taken care of. Because my dad certainly didn't. But yeah, my grandpa was that. My grandpa, he was like the biggest prick. Like, he would just stir the pot. Like, he loved just pushing the buttons, you know what I mean? Like, just in a fun way, but like, he was just like, oh my God, sometimes he was like, shut the fuck up, you're annoying the shit out of me. Because you'd just be that person that's just like, he knows how to press your buttons. But he did all that with so much, he had so much love, and for all of us. It was like it with all of his grandkids and stuff like that, because I have cousins and stuff like that, and he was always like it with all of us. I think in a sense, he cared about us a lot more than he did his two kids, because they were just, my Uncle Shane was also just like off in the stars as well. He lived way away. He lived in like Victoria. But he just, yeah, my grandpa and my nan to a certain degree, but my grandpa was just like, he was that caregiver for me that my dad just was not really ever. I don't really remember too many times in my teenage life where I'm like, I went to my dad for something over my grandpa.
Yeah. Do you think your granddad knew his son wasn't being the dad that you guys deserved?
Oh, 100%.
Did he ever call him out on it? Did he ever say anything? Did he ever do anything? Did he
I don't
step
think
up to the mark?
I didn't personally see it. That's not to say that it didn't happen. But I think Pa was more about like, he could see it not happening, so his way of stepping up to the plate was just making sure that we were good. Do you know what I mean? Because I guess at the end of the day, my dad was a grown man, and he could make his own decisions, and it wasn't up to his dad, my pa, to make those decisions for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think his way was just different. His way was just like making sure that we're good. And again, that's not to say that it didn't happen. It's just maybe he did it when I wasn't looking. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I suppose I was trying to get deep into his mindset, I suppose. And I remember you saying in the pre-chat, if you don't want to say this, is absolutely fine, but I remember you saying your granddad did something, made a significant call over your dad once. I don't know if you remember telling me that.
Yeah, no, I do. So I'll kind of paint the picture of what was happening. So my grandpa had 2 houses bought, so he had like one house that he lived in, and then one like, just for conversation purpose, let's just say it was like 2 hours away. Probably wasn't that far, but it was something like that. So my dad was kind of living out there when my mum and dad first kind of separated, and I kind of went out there with him, just to keep him company, that kind of stuff. So my grandpa was kind of back and forth. But there was this one weekend where my grandpa was here, and me and my dad were there, and my dad had been drinking a lot. Big shock again. And me being a kid, I didn't know these kind of rules and stuff like that. I just said, I really would like to go and see my mum. Like, I miss my mum. And my dad, who had been drinking all day, was like, sure. So he put me in a car and drove me. Again, drink driving is not something that's safe or anything like that. But I didn't know at that age. I was 11 at this point. I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted to go and see my mum and my sister and my brother and all that kind of stuff. So he drove me down. It was not from my vague memory, it was not a fantastic car ride because he was drunk. But we got there, and then I just we pulled up, and I remember pulling up, then it gets a little patchy, but I remember going into my mum's house, and my mum was like, what the hell, you're here? My grandpa was there too, because like he was doing stuff with my sister or my older brother or something, so he happened to be there. He's like, what the fuck? So my grandpa kind of went out to the front yard where like my dad was parked, and then I remember just being inside, and within like a few minutes it just started kicking off. My dad was fucking hammer and tonk. Like I said, he would just kind of click when he was drinking. And I just remember my grandpa, like, yelling, like, Nicole, which is my mum's name, like, get in the house. Like, get in the house. And then just kind of, like, again, it's a little patchy, because, again, it's quite a while ago. But I just remember my dad just screaming, and then, like, he had, like, a shovel or something. It must have been in the car, or it was, like, laying in mum's front yard or something. But he, like, banged the front door down. And I think he just wanted to honestly kill my mother. Like, I honestly think that was the intention. That I honestly do. He didn't murder her, obviously, but, like, I feel like he could have. And I remember just seeing bits and pieces, and mum was trying to hide, and my dad was trying to beat the crap out of her. And my kind of grandpa called the police, and he got arrested. And I remember my dad getting, like, pepper sprayed in the front yard. Like, it's just shit that's shit you don't forget. Again, it's patchy, and it's not like I remember it vividly, like, every single point. But I remember this shit happening, and then still, for some reason, I still chose my dad. I don't know why. I really honestly don't. Looking back, hindsight's 2020. I wouldn't have made that decision, I guess, now. But, yeah, my dad went to jail
over that.
My dad went to jail. I went to court. This was like in like October, and then obviously my birthday's in November, like I said before. I just remember spending my 12th birthday going to a court hearing, and my dad was in like, I don't know what the technical term is, but my grandpa and my nana took me. And then my grandpa bought me a phone that day because he was like, fuck yeah, good boy. But yeah, so, yeah, I remember all that happening. And then that's when my grandpa kind of stepped up in that world of like, I'm going to live with you guys. So I guess in a sense that's when my grandpa kind of stepped up to take care of my dad, because my dad was obviously insane.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, how long did your dad get in jail?
I don't honestly remember. I honestly don't.
I mean, can you remember? It was like weeks, months? It wasn't obviously years, was it?
It was weeks, maybe months.
Yeah,
maybe,
wow.
But it wasn't an extremely long time. I don't know the reasoning behind. From the little bit of information I know, I think my mum just decided to not press charges because I think she just wanted to keep it cross kids. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard, right? Because I see kids at schools that I go to now and their parents are in jail, and I can see them acting out. I can see them lashing out, whether they're anxious, whether they're sad, depressed, whether they're badly behaving. You know, I hate saying bad behavior, because I always believe behavior is not the problem, it's the expression of the problem. And there's always a journey, and that's why this podcast exists, because everyone's got a story and everyone's got a bit of a journey. And these children that I see have that journey. They might not know, like you, they don't know in that actual moment, which is their moment right now that I see in front of me every day. But they'll look back one day and they'll reflect in the way we're reflecting, whether it's a podcast or whether it was with friends. I suppose now what I'm asking you is, do you remember anything that affected you going to school? Maybe did you see any after effects at school, bullying, the things that I see now with the kids that I work with? Did you experience anything like that?
So I was.
Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.